taking a couple of days off is actually kind of fun. I took off for the holiday, and then here it is almost the end of the next week, and I'm just making my first video of 2017. And, sitting around got kind of good to me, but time to get back to work. And let's talk about today, we're going to talk about the thirst. The desperately thirsty of you out there, both males and females. Now, even though this video was originally going to be focusing on the males who come on too strong and run women off, I think it's good to talk about it from both perspectives, because as I got to making my outline, I realized that women, eh, we call it desperate when it's females and thirsty when it's dudes, but the behaviors are basically exactly the same. Women tend to do more things along the lines of what I call auditioning for a wife, but the guys do behaviors that other guys label as a simp. And it's not that those things are bad in either case. So let me put that out there. It's not that those things are bad, but what it is you guys do them too frequently and too early in the relationship, because most of the time you're doing these behaviors when you don't even really have a committed relationship yet. You're doing it out of some anxiety, some nervousness about keeping this relationship and keeping this person in your life, or as about the stories I'm about to tell you right now, just getting the person in your life right off the bat. So this happened. One of my Facebook friends asked this question on her timeline a couple of days ago, and she this is what she posted. What can a woman say to a man to express disinterest? What I'm asking is, what can she say for you to leave her alone and not think she's just playing hard to get? So bottom line is, what would a woman say to a guy who keeps chasing her even though she's turned him down multiple times before? And she posted on her timeline. There were a lot of responses, but the best ones came from the dudes, and they were like roasting this guy. It was hilarious. So this one guy, he says, "Though you could just tell him fuck all the way off and fuck off further when you make the left and then the right." And then this other dude says, "If you were the last man on earth, I would just screw a tree." Another guy suggested that she say, "Oh, I don't date guys off the internet," which, is probably a reasonable thing, but that's not going to stop them. This one girl says, "Oh, well, you treated him like he wasn't brain dead. That's your problem, ma'am." I thought that was really cute. This other guy suggested that she say that you only date men of whatever race he isn't. And I thought, oh, that's clever. This other guy says, "Start scratching like you itching from something, because we really hate the scratching." I was screaming. He was a fool. This other woman says, "Ask him to pay your mortgage. You'll never hear from him again." Another woman suggested, "Get a strap on, a huge one, and tell him that you can't wait for the first date and that you will be gentle." And then the final one that I thought was a scream, this guy says, "Tell him that your boyfriend has been locked up for 7 years, gets out today, and you're his ride to go, and your ride rather to go pick him up just got canceled, and then ask him to take you." So those were some, the suggestions from some of the people, the comments that were made to her question. I thought they were hysterical, so I thought I would share them with you. But all jokes aside, there really are guys who think they are coming across, as romantic or clever or attentive and sweet. But on the female side, we get scared off because he's just coming on way too strong. He's doing too much. He is all in your face too much. And women do the same thing. So as I go through some of these behaviors, I'm going to try to keep them as gender neutral as possible, but some things, of course, will apply more to one gender than the other. If you recognize yourself in any of these behaviors, you need to slow your roll, because when you first start dating somebody, they don't know who you are yet. You got to give them space. You have to give them time away from you to think about you, to process the time that you've spent together, the conversations that you've had. how they feel about what you've said and what you've done together. People need time to do that, and they take steps towards you slowly. And that's when you know that somebody is really serious and being very considerate of what could happen in the relationship. When you have someone who throws all caution to the wind and just like chases you so hard and don't give you time to breathe, they call it a whirlwind courtship. That's somebody that you need to be very afraid of, because there's something wrong. Either they're trying to hide something and hoping that you get involved and emotionally attached to them and make promises and commitments to them before you find out what the skeletons in their closet are that would make you not want to be with them, or they're mentally ill. So either one of those two situations is going to be a bad outcome for you. Unfortunately, a lot of people think that that's, it's flattering, and it shows how much they're liked and all this kind of stuff. It shows neither of those things. It shows somebody who is like totally unaware, or totally ignoring all boundaries of reason when it comes to establishing a solid foundation for a new relationship. And if you want something that's going to be lasting and that's going to make sense and be able to withstand the drama that comes in any relationship, even good ones have drama, then you have to have a strong foundation. And if you don't take the time to build that, and you just erect this house of marriage and kids on a shaky foundation, the shit's gonna fall apart. And I think that's one of the key reasons why we have so many divorces. People don't take the time to do this. They rush and they don't ask the right questions. I've been trying to get you guys to understand this. You've got to ask questions, and you got to take it slow. So let's go. Oh, and first, and before I start, let me, because this one chick was like, well, I went out with this dude, and he brought me candy and flowers on the first date, and she thought that that was thirsty. And one of my male friends was asking me about it when I was talking about it. He said, well, that's how I was raised. That's how my dad used to do that for my mom. And she told me that's what he did on the first date and how it impressed her. So, this girl was being introduced to him by another, friend of the family. And so he was adopting the behaviors that he had been trained by his parents to do towards women. This chick was so ghetto and stupid. She's like, oh, he's just too thirsty. He's this and that. Instead of seeing him as a gracious gentleman who she was finally getting some treatment that she really deserved. So I thought, well, this broad here is stupid. And, the guy was confused at at her response. And so I just want to say, ladies, if you have a guy who brings you flowers and or candy to the first date or second date or whatever, be gracious and act like you have some fucking home training. Accept the flowers, accept the candy, say thank you like your parents taught you how to act, and then go on with your date. Don't be acting stupid and embarrassing me. That just was like, oh, I just wanted to kill myself hearing that some sister acted like that. It's like, God damn it. Don't you guys, I know most of these women are used to having poor treatment by guys, but at some point you have to start looking for them to treat you well and expecting it. And that's just a part of it, okay? So that's not thirsty. That's a gentleman. Now let's calm down. But putting this stuff aside, now, we talk about the thirsty dudes. We be talking about the internet trolls, the ones who, will just send miscellaneous random dick pics, or troll women's pictures and make all these comments about how they'll give her their whole paycheck, or they'll do this and that sex act for her, or, whatever. They're just thirsty. And, coming across like that with their face showing right next to these stupid comments. Okay, those dudes are thirsty. Same ones who send you random friend requests, and or want to send you, try to video call you. Those dudes are also thirsty, because you don't know them. You know what I mean? They just random men on social media. That shit is irritating to me. I had a guy try to do that last week, and he's like, oh, let's video chat, and I'm like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, well, I'm just a fan. I said, well, I don't video chat with fans unless you pay me. And he's like, oh, so you telling me that I have to pay you? I said, if you want to video chat with me, otherwise, I'm busy. And so we went back and forth, like, I don't know, twice more. I kept repeating myself until finally I just blocked him and went on with my life, because it was like he wasn't trying to hear my no. Just like, my friend here that I posted the question at the top of the video. The guy wasn't trying to hear her know that she wasn't interested in his ass. And I think, a lot of guys do that, and I'm gonna tell you why. They say, you say you're not interested, or no thanks, or I got a man, or I'm married, or you really not my type. And for women, it's obvious the guy's not really interested. You trying to talk to him, he's looking everywhere else. He's trying to be halfway polite, but he's hoping that you get a fucking clue and see that he's not into you like that. He's like hardly looking at you. His head's down. He's fiddling with his phone. He's doing everything else except being engaged with you. Why are you? Why do you keep trying? That's a guy who's telling you that you're coming on too strong and you are just making him uncomfortable. Most men aren't going to admit it though, because they have their ego thing going on. They don't want to say, you doing too much, and back up. So they just kind of go along with it and hope that you get a clue. But then they, like, if you keep calling and stuff, they'll never call you back, or half-ass call you back and be on the phone. You just talking, and then the dude will be like, yeah, uh-huh. So you're basically carrying the conversation by yourself. If you've been in any situation like that, you begging a dude to come see you, when we gonna spend time together, let me do that for you, let me help you, you coming up with all that kind of stuff all the time just so you could be around him. Thirsty. Okay, thirsty. Get your act together and get your pride back, put it back in your head, and stop chasing men. And so you dudes, the dudes is the same thing. So like I said, these behaviors will apply to both genders. If you find yourself behaving in any way like this after just a date or two, you need to stop. You need to slow your roll and think about what you're doing, and think about how you're coming across to the person. You're not going to make them want to be with you. You're going to make them want to put on some track shoes and break out and run away. Okay, so some of these things, I already mentioned this one, the random friend requests and the random chat requests to women on social media. Then the random dick pics. Or, like, so you, like, say you meet a guy, right? You give him your number, and then, I don't know, within a couple of hours, he texts you to tell you that he's been thinking about you and he misses you and he can't wait to see you again. Yes, I've had that happen. Thirsty. Just, give it a rest. I just met you like 5 minutes ago. Leave me alone. And then what about these? The ones who tell you how much they like you after, like, they meet you and maybe a phone call or two. I've had that happen. Thirsty. Cut him off at the knees. I was like, ugh. Are these dudes, they text too much? They be blowing up your phone with text after text, asking stupid questions, or, asking you what you doing now when they just asked you that 30 minutes ago. Most likely you doing the same shit you was doing the first time. And they basically text you all day. Now, some people like that. If you're in a relationship, that's your husband, that's your boyfriend or whatever, that's different. I'm talking about people that you just met. They just blowing up your phone with texts or calls all day long, every day. And then they get an attitude, like, so you at work, right? Maybe you can't be on your phone all the time. You can only be on your phone during breaks or at lunch or whatever. But this person is like getting an attitude because they texting you or calling you and you don't get right back to them. They have no regard for your time schedule. They're going strictly on theirs. And so when you finally do touch base with them, then they have a fucked up attitude about how long it took you to get back to them. Or you have a conversation. I met a dude like this. Okay, I don't know how old he thought I was really, but he was. His conversation was so juvenile, and every conversation was full of compliments. Now, I know I'm fabulous, but I don't need you to keep telling me. I already know this. I was born knowing this. So you repeating it over and over is like redundant. So he's, every conversation, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so smart, you're so this, you're so that. Okay, well, the first time, you've acknowledged it. That's great. Now let's just move on to another topic. But the next 3 phone calls, he was the same thing. And so I was like, okay, this guy's stupid. I don't know what his goal is here, but whatever it is, it wasn't going to happen. So, sometimes they say it I think, you know, I think people don't understand. If you over compliment like that, it comes across as like, creepy. No, people not going to be thinking that what you're saying is sincere. Even if it's true, they're going to think you just trying to blow their head up because you have an ulterior motive. You see what I mean? So it's not going to be taken as something flattering. It's going to be taken as something, it's going to raise people's suspicions. People who have good confidence in themselves. Let me put it that way. People who have low self esteem will eat it up because they are unable to provide that kind of affirmation for themselves. They need it from outside. And that's going to be another video that I'm going to do probably next week. Or, these dudes come in, come in the picture. Ooh, excuse me. Why is my throat so dry? Okay, so some of these dudes and some women too, they come into your life and they just try to tie up all your time. It's like you can't do nothing without them either being on the phone or wanting to be up in your face. Every second that you're not at work, they want to pick you up and they want to go do something. On the weekends, you don't even have time to hang out with your friends and do your laundry because they want to just be all in your face and occupy all your time all the time. And I think it's very important people realize, like I said, you got to give people time to reflect on the exchanges that you've had and to fantasize about you and to create a story in their mind about the possibilities of where this relationship could go. Fantasy is a big part of starting off rather a relationship. And if you don't use that tool of space effectively, you will burn somebody out on your ass within 30 to 60 days. They'll be sick of you. And versus trying to learn more and just relishing the time that they get to spend with you, it'll become such an everyday boring ass thing that they're looking for time away from you just so they could breathe. You don't want that. Some people do this. They ignore what I call boundaries, space boundaries or timing boundaries, pacing of the relationship. Like these are the dudes that try to get to your house off right off the bat. Women that press to meet a dude's kids. Well, I guess the guys do that too. Things like that before you're really comfortable enough to know if you want that person even in your life on that level. They really try to rush things along because they have an agenda and what your agenda is and what's comfortable for you as far as involvement in their life and boundaries. They are totally oblivious to that or ignore them on purpose. You may have people who are overly aggressive, with their they're just too touchy feely. Let me put it that way. They're always trying to kiss you and hold your hand and holding on your arm, and you just feel like creeped out because they just touch you too fucking much. And they always, or they always in your personal space. Like even if you sit down, they move over real close to you and be all hugged up on you all the time. And it's like you just met this person, so maybe some of those PDAs are really like not appropriate. Again, crossing boundaries. And like I said, most guys are gonna just kind of go and go along with it maybe. But ladies, I mean, what's wrong with you waiting and patiently for him to reach out for your hand? Because then you'll know he really wants to hold it. Isn't that going to be a more rewarding experience for you than you constantly grabbing on some man, just clinging on him like a goddamn monkey? I'm just like, oh my God, I see that all the time. And the guys look so uncomfortable, and women just grabbing on them. Another way that you notice that somebody's kind of like thirsty as hell is they pop up all the time. Have you ever noticed that? Like, once you like went out with a person a time or two, talked to them, they know a little bit about your schedule, right? They know like where you hang out maybe, or because maybe they went there with you or something, whatever. So suddenly, you notice that you keep seeing this person all the time. You go out with happy hour with your friends. Here's this motherfucker at the bar, and here you go. At your weekly nail appointment that you have a standing appointment at 2 p.m., who you see parked in the parking lot. You see what I mean? Stuff like that. Are they showing up at your job allegedly to take you to lunch or to bring you home so you don't have to ride the bus? Stuff like that. And it's like, that you didn't invite the person. They just start showing up. They at the grocery store you go to. They on your jogging trail. They at your gym. They at your house sometimes. I mean, wherever you go, they know where you are, and they just show up. Thirst. Can you just wait to be invited? And this, I knew this girl who, right, this guy, he would be out with other women. And then she would be, she would cook food for him and take it to his house and sit it on his porch so that when he got home, he could have a home cooked meal. I'm thinking that motherfucker could starve. I'm like, what? But that's what she used to do. See, thirsty. And I put her in the category of offering to do too much. And this tends to be women. They will do, they want to cook for the dude. They're gonna clean up his house. They're gonna babysit his kids. They're gonna pack him a lunch from the dinner that she invited him over for. I mean, just doing too much. It's like you just met the man. Can you calm down? Calm down. Just sit down somewhere and just relax. And just let stuff go at a natural pace. I think another way that these people do is they start talking about marriage and families, how many kids they want and all this old kind of stuff. When you first met them, you don't even know if that's something you're interested in with this person, but they already got you, all painted into the frame. And that's kind of a problem because then it becomes an issue where you got to figure out how to get yourself out of the frame. You're more concerned about being in the frame that you didn't want to really necessarily put yourself in. So it makes all kind of boundaries and blockades go up because people get scared that they're getting in over their head and that this person's getting too attached. So they start backing up. That's the exact opposite of what you want. And I think it's important for women to understand, you got a guy who's putting a mash on you, be like dudes do and say no. Or, well, I got something else to do. I can't make it. I got a prior engagement. I mean, they will just brush you off like that. Why do you guys all think that just because a guy asks you to spend time with him that you have to say yes? Or just because he wants to go somewhere or he wants to come over or he wants to go, at this breakneck speed in a relationship and see you 3 or 4 times a week and all stuff. Why do you always think that you have to go along with his program? Set your standards and stick to them. This is the number one thing that I keep trying to get women to understand. You have to run your life and you have to manage your relationships. You cannot let men manage them. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. So you have to establish the boundaries for when you will see him, how often you will see him, how long you will see him, and pace that shit out. Don't let him just put the bum rush on you and try to see you every day, and each date it lasts for 8 hours and all this old kind of stuff. Cut shit off. Make it, cut it short. And one of the main things that women do, and so I don't know, some of these dudes are getting kind of womanized themselves, but this used to be something that only women would do, and that was overshare information. Oh my God. It's like you just want to hurry up and let the guy know every secret that you have, every single thing about you, and I can never figure out what is the motivation for spilling your guts to somebody that you don't even really know. You got to understand. I mean, certainly you can tell somebody your stories, the stuff that hurts you and the stuff that happened to you. But you can't do that on the first date or two. You don't have no business telling somebody that you used to wrestle with drug addiction or you snorted all this. I mean, you don't need to tell people all of that stuff when you first meet them. This motherfucker might not be around next week, and now they leaving with all this vital information about you and your history, and you don't know who people know. You see what I mean? Shut up. Stop talking so much, and give it a good, I don't know, 5, 6 months maybe before you start telling all those kind of stories. You don't want somebody just hearing all that stuff about you and giving you side eyes and becoming, all judgmental and condemning, because then the next thing, they won't want anything to do with them because you told too much. You didn't give them a chance to get attached to you yet, so that they would have some empathy and some concern for what you tell them, versus it just being like something they read, heard in a beauty shop or something. It'll have no meaning for them unless they have an emotional attachment to you. And I think, to sum it up, if you have one of these kind of thirsty people in your world, you can't really be nice to them. I hate to say it because they just act like they don't get it. You have to just be direct and make sure that your actions match your words. Sometimes, women will be give in, and that's why the guys keep mashing, because they know that if they keep pressing, most women will eventually give in. For me, I just dig in my heels harder. So, I'm kind of the opposite. But, you got to stay in, keep that in mind, because that is a big game that's used in women, is to keep asking, keep asking, keep asking, keep asking, with the goal of wearing you down to the point where you just get tired of saying no and you just give him what he wants. That is game. A lot of dudes run it, and a lot of women don't even know that they're getting played, but that's exactly what's going on. So, you don't really have to come up with a billion and one excuses for why you didn't want to talk, why you didn't text him back, why you don't want to go out with him. These dudes can handle the truth, and so can these women. Just like I said, how the dudes do. Now I got something else to do. No, I'm not interested in doing that. I don't feel like it. I got something else to do. I got a prior engagement. And that's all you have to say. You don't have to go into all these details. And I think, in closing, I like to close out my videos. In closing, there are men and women, naive and desperate enough to welcome this kind of attention. I think with women, it's a lot of it's involved in that fairy tale, where where the prince comes in on his white steed and, so, whisks her away to happily ever after and all that old stuff. So women like that, that emotional highs and all that flattery and what they perceive to be romance. They love that shit. But you need to calm the hell down. And the guys, your desire for intimacy, and ladies, your desire to be in a partnership and whatever else, you just let that makes you too excited. You get too anxious. You got to slow down. Don't let your emotions drive your behavior. Stay in control. Use your mind. And during that period of time, if you catch yourself getting ready to, start doing too much, or you notice that you're doing too much, as I laid out in this video, you need to stop and ask yourself some important questions. And feel free to write these down for reference. How does this person and this relationship make me feel? Now, this is important. Don't think about how you want it to make you feel or how you fantasize it's going to make you feel. Think about how you actually feel. Okay? Stay in the here and now. Number two, what kind of partner has this person shown themselves to be? I'm trying to be gender neutral here. I'm struggling. Just ask yourself honestly, is this person what I'm looking for? Not like Mr. Right Now or Miss Right Now, or, kind of, sort of, the 70% that we talked about. No. Really, really examine this person and their behavior and the stuff that they say and the stuff they like to do. Is this a good fit for you? Use your mind. You got to stay calm. Don't get all wrapped up. And then examine, how do I really feel about this person? Not how I want to feel, not how I imagine they feel about me. How do you feel about them? And then, was one question I like to ask myself, because this is my determining thing if somebody will get nexted. I look at them and think about the shit that they do, right? And I say, okay, if they never change and I had to deal with this behavior for the rest of my life, could I handle it? 99.9% of the time I say no. And then I next them. And it saves me so much drama. Oh my God, so much drama. Because I have no patience. I know that I have very short temper, bad attitude, and no patience. That's a trifecta of drama. So, me getting involved with somebody who's going to be getting on my nerves on a regular basis, doing some simple shit, see, that would have me killing somebody. So that's not a good combination. So I already know. Next. And then, the final question is, you looking at what's going on in the relationship. Ask yourself if it makes sense to invest even more time and energy in getting to know this person, or is it time to, just basically cut bait, maybe keep a casual friendship, an occasional acquaintance, of, whatever. But does it make sense to continue forward trying to create something more permanent with this person, more long lasting? I think a lot of women get involved in these kind of relationships because they're looking for a romantic fix, like a junkie, and guys know it. These guys, they can smell that thirst and that desperation and that emptiness, and then they come with their little stories about how they can make your life better. And I think a lot of women, like I said, they succumb to the pestering and to the pressure. Well, no matter what it is, the guy that he wants. It could be your number, it could be a date, it could be sex, to meet your kids. I mean, to come to your house. I mean, whatever it is, they're gonna keep asking you, asking, asking you, and you got to keep your resolve high. Don't let them push you into a relationship that you're not ready for, or any other aspect of anything that you don't feel comfortable with. And the same goes for the dudes with the woman. And the dudes really have to watch it, because sometimes, the women will slip up and then magically become pregnant. And then, the guy's trying to figure out what to do. Ladies need to understand, that used to be them days where the dudes would be like, oh, I'm going to take responsibility, and we're going to get married. This shit. Not these days. They will drop you and that nappy headed baby that you had. So I don't recommend that path. And again, if you stay focused on what's going on in the relationship and how it makes you feel and all those kind of things, I think we would have a lot less of those situations. And I think the bottom line here, with all this chasing and pushiness and just doing too muchness, what people are trying to do is make someone be interested in them. You're trying to make somebody like you, trying to make somebody love you, trying to make somebody want to be with you by doing all these things and paying all this attention and just being too aggressive, chasing. And you got to understand that if somebody's already told you that they're not interested and you keep pressing them anyway, you're setting yourself up to get used, and you're setting yourself up to get hurt. Respect other people's no's and respect other people's choices. If their choice is not you, be gracious enough to do the bow and go on out the door. All right. So that's what I got to say on this topic. This is Deb Cooper from survivingdating.com. First vid of 2017 rolling out. We got a lot more stuff coming up. I just have to, get used to being back at work. Talk to you guys soon. I hope everybody had a great holiday.